Good afternoon and welcome to the Sabi Sands. We haven't got very far from our base and look what we've already stumbled across. A beautiful sighting of a large amount of impala, a lot of them. Brian's going to have to pan around to show you, as well as a herd of wildebeest. And there are even some warthogs floating about that Brian will get to, which aren't local residents here at the quarantine clearings. So good to see them here. And it's still a cloudy day, so nice and cool, and there's also quite a strong breeze. So we've got ideal weather conditions this afternoon at this stage. Provided these clouds don't bring any rain, which they might, but hopefully they won't, and if they do, we'll make a plan. And just like yesterday, for example, even though we had a kind of 45 minutes probably of rain, or half an hour of rain that caused us to stop the broadcast for that period, thereafter we got spoiled with an incredible sighting. So I'm sure it'll be good either way, regardless of what happens, and really looking forward to it. Just going to creep forward a little bit so we can try and get a few closer shots of these warthog. And this mother's managed to raise 2 of her piglets this season. She could well have given birth to around 4. That's the kind of usual number that they give birth to. And the other large one that you can see with her would have been a piglet from last year. So they typically hang around with their mothers for about a season before they start their own life. Or a year rather, just over a year. For any of you that may be joining for the first time, welcome on board and good to have you with us. Just to let you know, you can ask questions to me at any stage, and to do that you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send an email through to questions@WildEarthTV. And Alex, who's back in the final control this afternoon after a morning off, will then try and get them through to me. And this afternoon I'm teamed up again with Brian on camera. And they all seem very peaceful and relaxed, and that is one of the benefits about being in an open clearing, especially in a group of animals this large. There are so many eyes and ears keeping an eye out for one another, and there's not a lot of, or too much structure for predators to use with which to try and stalk up closer to their prey. So they're all very comfortable here for now. At night things will change, and that'll be a different story when the predators have their cover of darkness. But for now, a very tranquil scene here in the clearings. I'm just going to carry on. When Alex was on his way to the final control room from the research camp where we stay during the day, it's a short walk. He did see an elephant bull feeding out here in these clearings, so it would be good to try and track him down. We'll just do a look. Oh, look at it. He's right here in front of us. So Alex, thank you very much for that update. And he's just right ahead of us. So again, we've continued to get spoiled with some great sightings of lots of animals are around at the moment. So a wonderful way to be finishing off. It's almost as if the animal knows the production's coming to an end, and they're all joining in with us to try and create a climax, so to speak. Oh, so he's missing a tusk. Haven't seen this individual around before. And there's another one behind him. So not one, but two elephant bulls. And I wonder how he lost his left tusk. Could well have broken off. And he's doing what elephants really love to do at this time of the year, feed on the marula fruits. They've only started doing it about 3 weeks ago, I'd say, in this part of the Kruger. The marulas tend to ripen further north before here, so a lot of them would have spent time up there and then followed the ripening marula fruit south. And this other smaller bull is coming to join, so let's see if there's some interaction between these two. Oh, there we go. The larger one has already expressed his feelings towards this younger bull approaching his marula tree. But surely there's enough to go around and share. You may notice that this younger bull that's just approached, his temporal glands are seeping, and that is an indication that they are emotionally heightened, whether it's excited or nervous or sad. It's hard to say, but at the moment he's looking very relaxed, so I'm certainly not too concerned at this stage. And he's decided to come up to us from a long distance off, so he's made this decision. We haven't encroached on him, and this is making for a really, really wonderful sighting. He's even mixing in a little bit of dust bathing in between the feeding on the marula fruits. And thankfully, well, I don't know if it's thankfully or it's a pity, the edge of the marula tree ends about where he is there, so I don't think there's going to be any fruits closer towards the vehicle. So that may be the closest he comes. Hello, boy. How are you? Okay. It really is wonderful to see how animals that have been persecuted by man and continue to get persecuted by man can still be so relaxed with us. I'm guessing this individual hasn't had too many negative interactions with humans in the past, and therefore he does trust us and is relaxed to come up to us. But in certain areas you get elephants that have had this negative, or these are negative interactions with humans over the years, and even if they are very young, they've got great memories. So, oh, the marula fruit just hit him on the back as it dropped from the tree. But you can find elephants in certain areas that will not tolerate humans, and at any sight of them either charge towards them or potentially run away. Those are the kind of two options. Really giving this bigger bull a good old sniff, and let's see what happens here. Incredible. And I was sleeping because I should have had my camera out. Now I need to change lenses quickly. But I think I've missed that beautiful sighting or scene we've just witnessed photographically, but a wonderful memory that will be that interaction that they just had. We've been seeing some incredible affection over the last few days, especially yesterday with the Nkuhuma Pride of Lions. We saw some incredible displays of affection amongst them, and even amongst between these two bulls now. That was a special sight to see, these two bulls almost shaking hands, but they used their trunks instead. It was a very gentle and friendly interaction between them. These fruits are highly rich in vitamin C, so that's mainly what they're kind of targeting, I guess. There's not a lot of flesh on these fruits, and they often pass out almost as they went in, but oh, look at that. Oh, is he going to lie down? And he is. What is he going to do for us here? Yes, he's going to lie down for us. Almost inviting this other young bull to play. Incredible. Look at this. Really great behavior. Now he may give us a little bit of attention. He may feel that we also want to play. Let's see if he comes charging forward again now after he's retreated. I think he might. What he may also do is rip up some of these plants just as a kind of dominance display, not for necessarily feeding on. Look at this young bull reaching out so delicately. This is awesome. Just got a question through from Sandy in Palm City asking whether elephants ever know who their offspring are. It's a good question. I'm not convinced that they will know who their offspring are because they move such huge distances, elephants, and between the bulls going in one direction and breeding herds moving in other directions, it would be hard for them to keep track of who their young are. Bulls don't stay with specific herds, so to speak. As you can see, he didn't really feed on those bushes that he ripped out there, as I mentioned earlier. It was just simply a dominance display. Bulls will come across females that are in season, mate with them, potentially spend some time with them and move off. And it's only 2 years later that their offspring will be born, so, or 22 months later. They may well know who previous lovers are, therefore, because they do have great memories and they do bond after mating for a prolonged period. They don't just mate and leave. So they could well get to know the mothers well and recognize mothers in years to come, but it would be unlikely that they would recognize an offspring. I think a lot is due to, again, their very long gestation period, and a bull who isn't, oh, he's going to shake the tree for us to get more marulas. This is going to be incredible. Look at this. And you could hear all the marulas falling.
Fantastic.
I've been hoping for that to happen, and this is the first time, and just in time, because as you're all aware, things are coming to a close here, and every little sighting, especially ones like that, are even like that, I guess, seeing them flatulate, are all interesting to see and great to be able to show you, because the end is in sight, sadly, and it's as if this elephant heard me on the way in, saying the animals all know that it's time to build up to a climax, and they're pulling out all their tricks now for the final drives. The strength that we just witnessed there is phenomenal. I mean, this tree is ginormous. I don't know how many humans you'd need in order to try and simulate the strength that we've just witnessed here. But I'd guess about 60, because that would probably equate to his weight in total, about, well, 40 to 50, potentially 60 humans would join together, would probably equal the weight of this big Ellie bull. And they really are in a playful mood. He could well turn on us, like I said, any stage, but he is playful, so I'm not too concerned. But when they are in this playful mood and they see us following along, they may think we may want to get involved. We simply just want to watch, though. And that does require tagging along behind them. Isn't this wonderful? They're continuing off into this thick vegetation, sadly, so oh, he just flattened a tree. Did you get that, Brian?
It's behind branches and that.
It wasn't a big tree. You may have heard a little crack or thud. That was the trunk of the tree cracking, and they do tend to like to show off their strength when they are in these playful, boisterous moods. Looks like he could be coming back to investigate us, which would be wonderful. But hard to say at this stage. He has edged a little bit closer towards us. get a nice gap here, Brian, hopefully. The bigger bull on the right is really the one leading this entertainment. He does seem a lot more playful than the younger bull, but the younger bull's certainly getting involved. Let's see how long it takes before this bull to get another little playful streak in him. Or is he going to shake this tree for us? I think he thought about it there. Oh, there he goes. I'm not going to move because it looks like they could. No, I am going to move. Apologies, I don't have a monitor, so I've got no idea of what Brian's filming, and it is important for you to know because it understandably makes narrating difficult because I'm not sure exactly what he's filming at any given point, so just to let you know that. But thankfully in a sighting like this not much needs to be said because the animals are doing all the work. Okay. That vocalization was awesome. Well, these two elephants have just provided us with two different things. Initially, the bigger one shaking the marula tree, and now the smaller one letting off that deep, rumbling vocalization. Such a wonderful noise to hear. And both of those two things that have just happened, I've yet to be able to share with you, and they are such wonderful things to see. Oh, is he going to shake the tree again? He is. This will be a great perspective. Wow. Absolutely awesome. I don't think life could get much better for these two elephants. They seem to be really loving every moment of it. And so are we out here, that's for certain. Arathusa, good afternoon. Sharon just asked whether the elephant's tusk will go back, and no, it won't. They've only got 2 sets of tusks in their life. The first ones drop out at about 6 months of age on average, and then if the second pair does at any stage break, oh, this is going to be beautiful. Hello, boy. Take a few more steps higher up that termite mound for us, won't you? Oh, I cannot believe how awesome this is. How he's lying down, which isn't common to see adult elephants do. Just wondering how we're gonna... No, he's back up again. It also goes to show what incredibly industrious animals the termites are that build that mound, that even under the elephant's incredible weight, nothing broke. Eating could cause this behavior, and potentially, yes, it's just like humans. Good food makes it, or tasty food makes any animal happy. So I guess to a degree the fact that they're eating good food is making them happy, but it certainly isn't intoxicating them as some people may think it does. You could hear the ivory clashing there. That was wonderful. Questions just come through from Lenny. Good afternoon, Lenny, and welcome on board. Lenny's asking whether the marula fruits are edible by humans, and they certainly are. They're very tasty. Oh my word. This is absolutely wonderful, and by far the most entertaining elephant sighting I've had. I've yet to see an elephant so playful in the last few months, and this is really a spectacular show that we're being given here. Yeah, he might come give us some attention. Look at this. It's really an incredible show of their strength and how intimidating they can be if they want to be. Oh, that was some kind of a backwards roundhouse kick he performed there into the bush, which I didn't expect. And what will his next move be? It looks like he may be building up some momentum, heading towards the younger bull. Oh, there's that backwards roundhouse kick he's been working on. Sadly, these combretums are getting caught in the thick of things here. It's almost dog-like, his behavior, the way he's playing around. Hello, boy. And that termite mound that he just kicked didn't survive, so they're strong, but they're not that strong. He just demolished that termite mound. Oh! Oh! It looks like he's going to be taking it out on the Combretum again. And he will probably spit all those leaves out of his mouth because they typically don't eat them. There they're dropping slowly one by one. This is just too good to be true. Hello. This is really incredible. Somebody just asked whether that's elephant scent marking when he rubs against the bushes, and no, he's not at all. They won't scent mark because they're not territorial animals, so it's not a scent marking display. It's simply him being playful and again showing his size and strength by displacing a lot of this vegetation and tossing his head from side to side. And his behavior really has been phenomenal that we've seen now. He seems to be kind of rolling around again on what looks to be a termite mound. Try to get you a little gap here. Oh, not going to be no good, eh?
Back a little bit. Yeah, it's okay.
It'd be interesting to know why all of a sudden he's stopped, and you can see he's almost listening. And that's exactly what he could be doing. He could be listening to infrasonic vibrations being communicated by other elephants miles away from here, which are inaudible to our ears, but the elephants can pick up these vibrations and pick up these audible sound, infrasonic sound waves. So that could well be the reason why he did all of a sudden stop, and you could see almost concentrate and listen. But now it's back to playtime. Just need to keep an eye on them because we don't want to get caught up in their games. Hello, boy. Hello. Hello, how are you doing? We are loving your playfulness this afternoon, so do continue as you were. I cannot believe how long this wonderful interaction's been going on for. And the other good news is it looks like they could be heading back in towards the clearings, which will make viewing them a little bit easier. But for the time being, they have just got positioned themselves under a marula tree. I wonder if it's a male or a female. Cannot see any fruits in this marula tree that they understand. That'll explain why they're not eating any of the fruits, because it's a male and therefore does not bear fruits. Oh, he's come very close to us here. Playful one. So I'm just going to keep going, get out of his way. You never know how exactly they may react or change their mind. We might need to turn around. Oh, and they back out into the road for now, but they could well cross straight across. Young Bill's learning a lot about life right now, because it's not quite a fair match, but thankfully the big one is remaining playful at this stage. Well, if these carry on like this, we're not going to be able to leave them. It's just too good to leave. We may be stuck here the whole afternoon. Oh, another great display of their strength. Boisterous behaviour. Well, I know for a fact we wouldn't, but no, they really have been completely relaxed with us, and other than one or two kind of small pieces of interest being shown by the bigger bull towards us, it was really more inquisitive and playful than anything else, so I'm not feeling at risk or in danger. This marula tree must have some seriously tasty fruits, I'm thinking, and it does vary from tree to tree, the taste of the fruits. The fact that they keep coming back to it really does make me feel, out of all the marulas they could choose to go and feed on now, they keep coming back to this one. He's also even shook this tree, which also indicates that he's desperate to try and get as many fruits down from it as possible. There is a really pretty bird just on our right hand side that Brian might be able to show you quickly, because like I say, we could be stuck here the whole afternoon with these elephants. So we'll try and squeeze in a few other animals that we spot during the sighting, and this is a lilac-breasted roller, an incredibly pretty bird. And we may see it fly down and catch some prey, and if we do, we'll notice a beautiful electric turquoise. Their wings are really brightly colored. So if we're just a little bit patient, I think it will spot something down in the grass and fly down and snatch it, which will make for a great sighting. And it's almost as if the elephants know that the camera is no longer on them, because they've calmed down. Real performers, these two. We just need to somehow get a message to this lilac-breasted roller that now the camera... Oh, it looks like he's seen something. You see how he tilted his head to the side there, or she. Looking promising. There we go, and we should get it flying back up to that same perch. No, further afield. What did he get there? Hard to say. Maybe a little grasshopper. Yeah, looked like a grasshopper, and he's just gobbled it whole. Good. Well, I'm glad we got to see a lilac-breasted roller kill in amongst the Ellie action. But let's go find out what they've done. It appears like they may have split up and gone their separate ways. Now the younger bull's down to our right. And the bigger bull is just in front of us, so their little playtime session, it appears, has come to an end.
Camera on him again and you'll get excited.
Well, exactly. Brian's just raised a good point.
Yeah, we're back to film here.
You can see the base of his broken left tusk slightly protruding. From that upper lip, I guess. Well, we've had a great sighting. Another game viewer is arriving, so we'll leave them to enjoy the sighting alone and continue with our own plans. Okie dokie. Well, that was absolutely wonderful. What an incredible start to the drive. We've literally been here an hour and we haven't even got a quarter of a mile out of our base camp. So sometimes you just get spoiled, and it's tending to happen more and more often at the moment, which is something that I'm extremely happy about. Oh, the weather, what is going to happen with the weather? The clouds have darkened considerably over the last hour. So that could mean a little bit of moisture for us, but we've got used to it now and we know the drill, as do a lot of the regular viewers. For those of you who are new, we'll probably just cover up the vehicle with the tarpaulin and make sure we don't get any of this high-tech equipment that manages to get these shots to you wet. We'll keep them dry, and when the rain subsides we'll uncover and carry on as if nothing ever happened. So that would be the plan if it does start raining. And as Brian's just said, usually a strong wind comes just before the rain and the storm comes, and we've literally just hit a stronger wave of wind. So things aren't looking good, but we are still going to venture on with our plan and not take too much heed to the fact that it could rain, because we'd rather carry on as per normal, and if it does start raining we'll just cover up wherever we are and seek shelter there, rather than hanging around a safe point that would be easier to stay dry under, or more comfortable to stay dry under. We'd rather keep going and the area that we are going to keep going to is where we last saw Djuma this morning, and follow up on any sign of him. Alex, I'm just going to be using the game drive channel for a few moments, so if it cuts out, be ready for whatever you need to do. I do need to just use the game drive channel for a few moments to update the guys on what's going on, and also get updates from them, as I haven't spoken to them in the last hour. So excuse me for a moment, and if it does interfere with the broadcast, apologies. As soon as I've sorted everything out, we'll start broadcasting again. Afternoon stations, Scott looking for an update. Can anybody copy me? Okay, copy, thanks Abel. I'm going to head towards Shibam Road to follow up on Djuma. Afternoon, Craig. How are you doing, buddy? Copy, that's a pity, but thanks for the updates. Okay, copy. Then I'll take that other road that heads down the other side of Two Treehouse Dam. Copy, thanks. And to everyone that's listening, we are going to be doing some shisanyama tonight at Djuma, so everyone's welcome. Exactly, there's a letter in the post, but this message is probably going to be the one that works better for you. Cool, we'll catch you later. Okay, well, sorry, Alex. How bizarre. Anyway, copy, thank you. Well, I'm glad that that little conversation didn't interfere with the broadcast in any way. All the guides in the area that have been so helpful to us over the last few months, so we just want to try and use this last opportunity to have a bit of a get together and say thank you for them being so hospitable to us and helping us out so much. And also just to spend some time to get to know them. Sadly, staying out in the Manuleti has meant that we haven't really been able to socialize or interact with any of the guides here. But tonight will be different. Well, this is exactly where we stopped this morning and spotted Djuma lying in the grass just on the other side of these 3 buffalo to the far right. And a few hours later we have this beautiful scene. So incredible how things can change over such a short period of time. Although no surprise to see the buffalo here, it was a big surprise to see Djuma lying in that grass. Not a surprise to see him in this area, but a surprise just to see his beautiful spotted coat. I couldn't even see his head, I just saw a few spots of his coat in amongst this long green grass. And Craig, who was out with some guests, has gone to check the road that I was going to check. You would have noticed that at a U-turn he was heading up the road that we were heading down. So I left him to check that road, and what we might do is actually just give it 5 or 10 minutes and do the same loop that he's just done around the other side of this dam and see if we don't get lucky. Sadly, the Nkuhuma lion have got up and moved south out of our property, so we will not be seeing them, and sadly our efforts to track them down this morning and line up a sighting for this afternoon didn't really pay off. But that's how it goes out here, and after yesterday's incredible sighting of them, we would be a little bit greedy if we wanted more. Naturally you do want more, but we did get a great sighting of them yesterday. Just going to shift forward and see what else is going on here. I just heard some ripples, so the other buffalo might be a little bit more active. I wonder if the young calf's going to pop up that was lurking around with a bachelor herd of bulls, but doesn't look like he's here. Now there's an African harrier hawk flying around, and it would be very interesting to see if it wouldn't be interested in coming to try and raid these weavers' nests. They are specialists at raiding nests, and that is how they acquire the majority of their prey, or a lot of their prey, from reaching into cavities. They've got long legs that are highly flexible, which aid in getting into these funny positions. in cavities and nests, because that would be an incredible thing to see, especially after having seen that baby African rock python being killed, and that would have been a direct result of trying to steal or hunt from these weavers' nests. What are these two bulls going to do with one another? They seem to be getting a little bit worked up here. I've already covered that and discussed that, so I'm not sure if you copied it or didn't copy that, but I did mention that. Okay, time to go find the leopard. Toodle-doo, old man. The lion are heading in the opposite direction, so you're in the clear.
For now.
For now. Temporarily. So, for those of you who weren't with us this morning, we did get a brief glimpse of, well, a considerable actually sighting of Djuma this morning, but We found him on this side of the dam that the majority of the buffalo were on, as I described as we arrived in the sighting, and he then headed upstream in the riverbed that feeds this dam. It's very thick, and we ended up having to leave him as he headed into a very thick place, but we've got a good idea of where he last was, and now our plan is to find him. So Craig, another vehicle, has already driven down this road in the direction we're heading in. Oh, are those raindrops, Brian? So Craig, another vehicle, has already driven here this afternoon, but that was about 15 minutes ago, so anything could change between now, when he was there, and now, and we may just get lucky and be searching in a slightly under a different bush to what he was looking for. And when it is this thick, it is so easy to drive past animals. So we're just going to go and double check now. The tricky thing with an area like this is, even if you do go off on foot and find him on foot, you can't necessarily get the vehicle to him. So I'm not sure if it would be worthwhile for me to go and have a look on foot for him, but we'll see how it goes. The nice thing about this area of road is that the sand is very soft and would be easy to see if you did walk down this road at any stage. So I'm confident he's still in here somewhere on our right hand side. As you can see though, it is exceptionally thick. Just going to get our chair and have a quick look around on this road in this area, because he could well have come through here, and I just want to double check that he hasn't. Sadly, no luck. You may have noticed I started looking back at one stage. I'm not sure if you did notice that, but a lot of oxpeckers flew off, and those are great indicators when you are on foot for potential large animals like buffalo and rhino, I guess, in certain areas. So that's why I stopped, to make sure there weren't any buffalo charging towards me. Actually, when the buffalo starts running, the oxpeckers would take off, and I did see a whole lot of oxpeckers flying up through the sky, making their... That's what I was checking on there, but no sign of any tracks. The ground here is quite hard. Together with the gloomy weather, it makes for very difficult tracking. When the light is flat like this, you battle to see any shape or form from tracks left in the road. These oxpeckers did just fly off from down in here. Now I'm going to just pop in here to see if there's any sign of what the oxpeckers may have left, as well as just to increase our fine combing of this area for Djuma. I've had some incredible good fortune in tracking this animal over the last few weeks. It's actually been ridiculous how many times we've managed to find him. So I might as well try and keep up that. Keep that going. Well, nothing to see here, evidently. It is such a pity about the lion, but again I'll revert to yesterday, the luck that we had with them. They were essentially the same distance away from our southern boundary yesterday as they were when we found them this morning. They were just slightly further east this morning, but only probably 200 feet from our southern boundary, and see. That is what I was trying to show. And well done for spotting them there, Brian. I'm just going to reverse into this little gap, and Brian might be able to show you one of the buffalo that the oxpeckers took off.
Yeah.
Well done. But just such a useful indicator, those birds. Because if I was walking in this direction, I would have been highly alert before heading into there. Whereas if the oxpeckers hadn't have flown off and made a noise, things would have been very different. So, and bear in mind, this is the area that a few moments ago I said I could go walking through looking for kunuma. So maybe if I didn't hear those oxpeckers, I would have strolled up there and been squashed by a buffalo, which wouldn't have been an ideal way to end the project. All spotted there, Brian. Now, if you could please spot the leopard next, I'd be most overwhelmed. If you spot the leopard next, we swap positions. Craig, where you now, buddy? Craig for Scots. I wonder if he's been able to see us driving past. He could well have been, because it's not a big distance between these two roads. It kind of run parallel to this riverbed. It's just so incredibly thick in there that he could well have been looking out onto us, and we could well have just driven past him unaware. I'm glad that Craig did come through here, the same area before we did, because he would have had a tracker sitting on the hood of the vehicle, and obviously from that vantage point you can see both sides of the road easily, whereas for me now I can only really see the right hand side of the road effectively. And the other thing is they are professional trackers. I'm not quite there yet. So I'm glad Craig did drive here before us and didn't see any sign of him moving out of this area. That's not to say he didn't, because there's some areas where even the best trackers on the planet wouldn't see a leopard crossing these roads. So he could still be down here, he could be gone. James in Kansas City. Good afternoon and welcome on board. James is asking why we haven't seen any cattle egrets with the buffalo. They tend to follow the larger herds, which we haven't seen many of. And they also typically like kind of more open areas. That's typically where you see them feeding alongside buffalo, whereas a lot of the Djuma property is fairly well wooded. So I think those are two contributing factors, the fact of the vegetation in this area, as well as the fact that we haven't really had... Oh, it's the unicorn. As well as the fact that we haven't had many large herds of buffalo moving through, and that's typically what the cattle egrets prefer to follow. You don't, well, I haven't in my history really seen them associating with the bachelor herds. Now, where do we go? Brian, any suggestions, hopes, feelings?
Nothing right now.
Okay, perfect. I'm in the same boat.
I'm on eagle spotter mode.
Okay,
Leopard.
perfect. That's good enough for me. So the plan is now to do okay, copy. Thanks very much, Alex. Thanks for all the kind words that people have been sending through, and how everyone's expressed how much they loved that elephant sighting. It really was an incredible sighting. Myself and Brian were in our elements, and now I'm getting feedback that so are you, so that's great, and thank you for sending that feedback through. That's really great, and happy to hear that you enjoyed that as much as we did. The plan now is to spend some time meandering about in search of anything really, but with a greater goal to head back into that area where Kunyuma was last seen this morning. It's the last thing that we've kind of got to go on in terms of predators, and as I have mentioned in the past, it's imperative for us to set the greater goal of drives, not every drive, but most drives, being to find these predators, interpreting whatever we can along the way, but they are more rare and unlikely to see than any of the other animals that we can bump into anywhere around any corner. So I would like to get us back into that area later, but in the meantime we'll head off into a different area. But right now we'll watch this yellow-billed heron. Oh, well done, Brian, but he was busy plucking the berries from this white berry bush and feeding on them, which would have been great to watch, but I noticed him at the last second and it was a bit late, I think. Well done, Brian. What did you see? I just saw Brian swiveling the camera around very quickly and wasn't quite sure what he had seen, but now I know what it is. It's a grey go-away bird. And that's a zebrawood tree that he's feeding off. Just the leaves, interestingly enough, the fresh green leaves. The very, very hardwood, zebra wood. But this one has been toppled over and broken. The solid big wooden stem is what this tree would have been, and now it's just pushing through a few smaller shoots. But incredibly strong wood, this zebra wood. Great, well, we missed the hornbill feeding but got the grey go-away bird shortly after. And it goes to show that Brian is certainly focused out here this afternoon, and if this leopard is anywhere to be seen, it is not going to escape Brian's sights. Woodland's kingfisher calling out that we just drove past there. There's a funny feeling or mood in the air with this weather and the wind and the clouds. A dramatic feeling out here. Maybe it's just my mind and the fact that things are coming to a close that I feel that way, or I don't know. It feels like there's something's going to happen. I don't know what it is, but strange feeling in the air. It is very moody out here this afternoon. What has Mother Nature got up her sleeve? Copy? No problem. Okay, well, let's carry on. Sorry, go again. Okay, well, chatting with VM and Excellent Fun Control, they're switching roles, so I was just getting an update from them. They're going to go half and half this afternoon, spread the load. What was that squirrel alarming call? Just stop and wait in this little riverbed here for a few moments and see if anything's walking down towards us. There could be a chance of that, so we'll be down here for a moment or two, waiting, because sometimes just stopping and listening and waiting is the best thing to do, rather than carrying on driving through a bit of a dry patch, because you end up just tending to drive fast and not find anything. So we'll just stop here and wait a moment or two and listen, because that squirrel was alarm calling quite insistently. Mind of its own. Anyway, we waited there until the signal came back and nothing happened in the time that we were in that little bed we were waiting, and the squirrel didn't alarm call anymore and nothing popped out. So we have just decided to carry on, and we are just arriving now at Twin Dams. Not sure exactly why it's called Twin Dams, because I only see one of them, but things may have been different a while ago. Oh, sorry. Go again. No, you're imagining things. That is, we missed it. Just got a question through from Brian in Toronto. Afternoon, Brian, and welcome on board. Brian's asking, what smaller cats do we get in the Greater Kruger National Park? And he mentioned the African wildcat as one, and yes, the African wildcat is one. The caracal is another, which is an incredibly beautiful cat with lynx-like twirls on its ears and a reddish color. Almost like a bobcat, kind of, I guess, the equivalent to an African bobcat, you could say. So the caracal. The serval is another beautiful cat. It's spotted with long legs. It's almost kind of like a cheetah, but a lot smaller, and a strange shape, very long legs for its body. So that is those are 3 African wildcat caracal serval, and then you get genets, large spotted and small spotted genets, but they're not part of the cat family, they're just cat-like creatures. What are the other cats that I may be forgetting? No, it's just the serval, the caracal and the African wildcats, I'm fairly sure. Unless 1 or 2 have slipped my mind. Sadly, we don't see many of either of those 3 animals in the Sabi Sands. A friend of mine saw, there were a few caracal sightings when I spent 3.5 years in the southern Sabi Sands, but literally I think 3 in the 3.5 years that I was there. No African wildcat sightings that I know of. Yet they could well occur here, and according to tracks, we've seen tracks of them here when I did a lot of tracking assessments and tracking back at the lodge where I used to work. Serval, again, a handful of sightings, but not many. So, again, it's interesting how, even though they are smaller cats, it's not a good place to come and see them. Great place to come and see lion and leopard, though. But if you'd like to see animals like caracal, serval, African wildcats, other reserves, potentially have better sightings of them and more frequent sightings of them. So again, it's just so important to know that depending on what you want from a safari when you do come out, it's so important to speak to somebody that really knows what's going on, the different animals that you can experience in certain areas. A little bit because we were wondering if that was causing the trouble with the broadcast, but it all seems to be okay. So either way, thankfully you're not missing anything, and welcome back. Okay, we've just got a question through from Ronnie in Israel. Hello Ronnie, and welcome on board. Ronnie's only 5 years old, so good to have some youngsters on board. And Ronnie's asked whether any of them are scared or nervous of the vehicles, and sometimes they are, but because we spend so much time here every day, in the morning and the afternoon, there's people driving around in vehicles like this. They slowly get used to us and realize that we don't want to harm them or hurt them, and because we never feed them, the animals don't ever think of us as a way to get food, which is also useful, because imagine if lions then started thinking and imagining that we were the people to feed them, that they could then get a little bit aggressive if we don't feed them. But because we never... Cool, well done. Brian's on some very beautiful birds, Ronnie, so I'm going to continue answering your question now, but I really would like to show you these birds called white-crested helmet shrikes. It's quite a long name. They do have a very funny little white afro, like a wig on their head. I'm not sure if they're going to hang around though. Oh. their cousins, the Retsa's helmet shrike, will really come up to investigate that call, just like the black-headed oriole's done. This black-headed oriole's just come and landed in this tree. It's probably not in a clear spot, but you'll be able to see some bright yellow marks. And he has come to look, yeah, as long as the white-crested helmet sharks also come back. Let's see if any more come back. And the call that I'm making is of a little owl that will hunt birds, and that's why they've come to investigate, because they would have wanted to chase that little owl away. Anyway, it seems like all of the birds have disappeared and are not interested in coming back. Although, no. But back to your question, Ronnie, no, I think the majority of the animals aren't too scared, and as you can see, we sometimes do get very close to the animals and they don't mind us. Obviously there are sometimes the animals will be in a bad mood and maybe aggressive towards us or move away. They might feel scared, but typically they don't mind us, and it has been more than 50 years now that people have been coming to this area and looking at animals without hurting them or harming them. So for very, very many years, 10 times how old you are, people have been coming here and getting the animals used to the vehicles and teaching them that we do not want to cause any trouble. All we want to do is look at them and take photographs of them and enjoy their beautiful home, Archer.
I've got 2 helmet tracks in shot.
Oh, well done, Brian. So Brian does have 2 of the helmet tracks in shot. I hope you're enjoying them. They're really funny looking birds with that white crest, and they live in these small family flocks. So there will be the 2 parents that will do the breeding, and then youngsters will stay within the family for a season or 2 after they've hatched to help the adults raise following broods of chicks. But as they then get older, they'll start their own family. That's the black-headed oriole calling that you can hear. That kind of a noise. Okay, well, we shall continue on. Brian asked where we were exactly earlier, so I told him we were on the southern boundary, and then asked him where he would like to be, and his answer was that he would like to be where the leopards are. So that's where we headed to, hopefully. After this morning's drive, I was thinking back to what a great morning it was, and then I realized that I'd forgot to mention the hyena sighting we had at the start of the drive, when I did recap the good sightings that we did have this morning. That was really cool, following those hyena for quite a long distance, especially right towards the end when we got to see them running straight past us. We got a little opportunity there to loop ahead of them, which was wonderful. So we are now back in the area where we did last have a glimpse of Djuma this morning. So eyes peeled, because we need all the help we can get searching for this leopard. Good places to look are up in the trees, especially the marula trees, which have got the big horizontal branches that he could be lying on. What you want to look for is a leg dangling down, or a tail dangling down, or maybe a head poking up above one of the horizontal branches. Silhouettes, basically. Or really just look wherever you're feeling lucky, because there's so many positions he could be in. But I don't want to misguide you with where I think he might be. Just got a question through from Dennis in Valencia. Dennis has asked whether the Sabi Sands is one of the best places to view leopard in Africa, and yes, I think it is fair to say that it is one of the best places to view leopard. It certainly is. There are various other places though with really good leopard viewing though on this continent, but I think in South Africa it is fair to say that you aren't going to get a much better destination to view leopard than here. So that's correct, Dennis. If you'd like to see leopard and you plan on coming on safari to South Africa, then the Sabi Sands would be a good place to look into. But there are places all over Africa where you do also get great leopard sightings. Kenya, Tanzania. I've had some great leopard viewing as well. But the Sabi Sands really is up there as one of the best in Africa. Another place where you can go and view leopards is not in Africa, but it's in India. And the nice thing about that is you get to see them, hopefully, along with a few tigers. So you do also get leopards in India, and there are some really beautiful big leopards in India. Some of the biggest leopards in the world occur in India. I can hear a go-away bird alarm calling down in the riverbed in a similar area to where we did last see him this morning. The problem is it's just so thick in there that there's not much we can do about it. very lucky. Very, very lucky. Now what you can see here is a painted reed frog. Incredibly beautiful frogs. And interestingly enough, the only other one I saw was very close to where we are here now, when again we had been looking for a leopard in this area and had off-roaded, and actually myself and Jason had got a flat tire. We drove over a stump that punctured our tire, and while we were changing the tire, the rain started coming down, and anyway we eventually found one of these painted reed frogs. This is only the second one I've seen, and interestingly enough, the last one was also sitting on a dead branch, which you just wonder why, because they're so exposed out there. Anyway, a beautiful little frog, fully grown, that painted reed frog, and you get different shapes or different colors rather of painted reed frogs in different areas, but they all have those similar stripes and markings with just variations of colors. And I was just thinking to myself, what are we going to see next to talk about and enjoy? And I caught this little frog out the corner of my eye. Cool, well that was a nice little bonus. They really are pretty, those frogs. And hard to come by. This is only the second one I've seen in over 2 months. Mark, the other presenter, who's been away for a couple of days, he'll be back tomorrow, which is great news. He also, excuse me, managed to find one, excuse me, the other day. So it's the third one we've managed to show you. But considering how many of the other large and magnificent beasts we've showed you over the last few months, it's great to be able to show you those rare and unique little sightings of animals like that we've only been able to show you 3 times over the whole period. This guy obviously doesn't want us to go past here. He looks very comfortable, so we'll give him some time to make up his mind. You can see he's got 2 leaves stuck behind his left ear. That would have been from him rubbing his horns up against bushes to polish them and adorn them. And you'll notice a fair amount of them have got kind of reddish bark embedded in their horns. And that's the little bit of decorating that they do, the males, and occasionally some leaves get caught behind their ear, giving them somewhat of a tropical appearance. Well, because he doesn't want us to pass, we will go around, the long way around. Fiddle-doo. One last loop through this area, and then we will probably move into a new area, because there's a limit to how often we can drive up and down the same road without it getting a bit boring. Even though we know full well that you could drive up the same road all afternoon and see different things. That painted reed frog, for example, I've driven up and down this road 5 times today, but I've only noticed it on the 5th time. And it's the same for all animals, and that's an animal that's stationary. Think of how many animals move and could be moving through this area at any given point in time from any direction. Okay, 45 minutes, just over 45 minutes to go. What to do, what to do. I'm on Shabam Road. Why do you ask? Okay, go ahead. Apologies for a slight little hiccup there, abnormal because this area usually doesn't cause any trouble, so Alex was just double checking that we were in fact here, just to keep track of what could have been potentially causing these issues. Where's everybody hiding? Copy, thank you. Well, Alex has just fed back that people have got some great screenshots of that painted reed frog, so well done to Brian on the camera, and also well done to all of those of you who got some cool screenshots. I'm sure some of you are going to be able to start an album from all the screenshots we've got. People have got some really, really good ones. And some people have even started playing with them in black and white and enhancing a few little different effects. So really good that people can enjoy snapping away from the comfort of their own home and building up a log of the different animals they've seen on Safari Live. It really is wonderful. Well, I think Kunyuma's just been watching us from under a bush drive past time and time again. So we'll move out of this area. Hopefully another vehicle will come back onto Djuma at some stage and give us a hand, because there's nobody here now. Everyone's headed off onto other properties, so it's just been us, which is great in a way, but in the same breath it would be nice to have some people checking different areas. But they've got the benefits of being able to traverse larger areas and just respond to sightings, and therefore rather than searching for animals themselves, they can just race from one sighting to another, which can be good in a way, but it also then causes less motivation to track and search for animals on your own. And I feel it's an important part of this experience, not just to race around from sighting to sighting, but to actually get your guests involved in the tracking experience and realize what does go into finding them. Okay, well, we've just got a tweet from Jennifer. Afternoon, Jennifer. And Jennifer's mentioned that she's already got over 2,000 screenshots, so you might the trick is now, Jennifer, to sort through them and pick all your best ones so that do your better image photographs up. Do get a bit of time in the coming weeks, and I'll be sure to post those videos on my Facebook page and footage that I'm looking forward to playing with when I do get a bit of time in the coming weeks. If you would like to follow me on Facebook, as I've stemmed from over the last few months. And if Facebook's not for you, you can also have a look on my Instagram account, which is Scotty D Safari, which I'm sure comes up a lot on the Twitter feed, or the various tweets that people do. And thank you for all those tweets and screenshots. We really enjoy looking through them after the drives, and I'll continue to look through them over the years, and one day potentially even show my grandchildren, or children as a starting point. I need to have my own kids first before I can think about having grandchildren. Anyway, not sure when that's going to happen, but Hopefully I'll have somebody to show when I'm old, and I'm sure there'll be some people floating about that I can show the screenshots that you've so kindly taken of me back in the day. Hopefully the weather's looking a bit better now, and that strong gust of wind that came through earlier has subsided, and there's no rain that's come with it, so I'm thinking we're in the clear until the rest of drive, and I'm hoping it continues to stay clear for our barbecue this evening, or braai as we would use the term in South Africa, B-R-A-A-I, braai. And we look forward to cooking some tasty cuts of meat over the coals this evening. Okay, so Nina in Michigan's making a scrapbook of all the screenshots he's made, so that's quite a cool plan. And I look forward to seeing the end results. You could possibly post on Twitter or somewhere, because that would be cool to see. I just saw a reddish tint in the fork of a marula tree. And I thought it may be a kill dangling in that fork, but it was just a broken branch from the marula tree that obviously an elephant had broken. The marulas have got a very reddish tannin within their bark, so that is what the reddish colour was that threw me off. It got me temporarily excited, thinking we had found a kill hoisted in a tree. Which would have been grand. Seeing as though we can't really see, or haven't been seeing too many animals now, what I am going to show you now is a very pretty tree. But there's also some birds that appear to be carrying some nesting material that might be worth having a look at. There's some starlings are doing some renovations to their home. I wonder where it is. Could well be in this. No, there's no cavities, I don't think, in this tree. They do nest in cavities, these starlings, of trees. And off he goes, off she goes. As I was saying, what I am going to show you is this beautiful torchwood tree. It's got such beautiful shapes and a fluted trunk or bark, or sorry, trunk, not bark. Really are impressive. I'll try and even light it up a bit. Ever so slightly. A VM, no major plans, not sure where to go or what to do. And it's an exceptionally abnormally shaped torchwood tree, this. The fact that it splits very far down the trunk and creates almost two trees growing up together, and also the very large canopy that this creates from the two different trunks makes for an abnormally large and beautiful torchwood. Usually it's just one single trunk that leads up to obviously a much smaller canopy, but this is almost like two twins next to one another. A magical, magical tree. I was hoping to see a leopard up here at some stage, because there are one or two branches where a leopard could get comfortable up there. But no luck in that department. Well, that was nice. Just heard VM in the final control, one cameraman, giving Brian, the cameraman on the back here, some compliments on his camera work. So that is nice of VM, who's in the final control. I think Alex might still be there. They were still there for a while, but Alex did say he was going to go and help prep some of the snacks for this evening's function, where we're going to have a few of the guys around for dinner. But Alex is still in the final control, so it's VM and Alex teaming up in there. Go again with the location of the restaurants. Okay, we've just got a message from John Q saying on 51st Street in New York, on the west side of New York I believe, there's a restaurant called Bry which serves South African cuisine. So if any of you are interested in trying anything out with some South African cuisine, you don't know where to go. So thanks John Q for sharing that, and that's great to know. Brian's just spotted some wonderful big male kudu that are hopefully gonna come out and display their beauty for us. There are 4 of them, but it is thick as you can see, but if we wait a bit here we might get lucky and get some good views of them. Oh, we're going to get really lucky. I think they're all going to cross the road for us. There's one that's leading in front here. It's the smallest one in the herd, but I'm guessing the rest will follow suit. Therefore we can expect some great clear shots. So the screenshotters will be going wild soon, and like I said, this is one of the smaller ones, so Save your ammo until the big boys pass. They're going to be coming shortly. Now the real big daddy's coming now. He's got exceptionally wide horns. We recognize this bull. I'm hoping he's going to stop and look at us. But no luck. Anyway, considering how thick this vegetation is, we've got a great show of them parading past us. This gives you an idea of how wide those horns are apart. Not easy, but there's one or two little gaps there that may have worked, and I mean it's just incredible. It's probably 3 feet wide, just about. Maybe 2.5, 3 feet wide, the tip of those horns. Oh, wonderful. Well spotted, Brian. I really wonder what's happened to Karula. There's been almost no sign of her, no word of her over the last few weeks. I hope she's okay. She could well be. She has been tending, excuse me, to spend more time away from this property over the last couple of months. And simply because we haven't seen her for the last few weeks doesn't necessarily mean she's in trouble, but she could have got herself into trouble, who knows. That would really be wonderful to see her one last time before we go. Her and quarantine, really. And ideally her quarantine and Djuma together. Anything is possible. Don't think it's going to happen this evening, but there's tomorrow and Saturday for you guys, just tomorrow for me. And looking forward to having Mark back on the team, even though we will only be joined up for tomorrow's afternoon drive together again. It will be good for me to finish with him being out as well, and also be able to just spend the last night all together as a team. Obviously we're missing Romeo, but he left last week. Happy Cub in Pennsylvania is asking if that beard or hair below the kudu's neck could be termed a beard, and yes, I guess it could be termed a beard of sorts. Those long strands of hair that hang down below the chin. I think it's fair to say to call that a beard. And really pretty on the kudu, that long beard of hair. So I'm glad you noticed it and liked it. Happy Cub in Pennsylvania. Oh, little Franklin just got a big fright and scuttled off now into the undergrowth. Bush eagle according to who? Is it a self-proclaimed ornithologist, or does he have official qualifications? It could well be, but there's also other similar looking birds around the world, so I don't know. So John, you copy. The individual sent useful information in New York or traveling through New York about the real bride, if you like to have any South African some typical South African cuisine, and I really go some really cuisine, and I really go some really delicious cuisines that have come from South Africa, because in among parts of cultures and over the last 100 years really, a lot of different flavors from all the world have been combined and mixed together and adapted by many races of people. The food here is great. Just in through of a bird prey, and asked to identify it for him. Now I haven't been able to see it, so I can't. The commentary. Confirm I shouldn't carry on speaking. Okay, copy. Anyway, I believe there's bad signal at the moment, so I'm not going to carry on. Sorry, go again. Okay, so to continue through a picture of a bird that could potentially be an African eagle, asking us to identify it, and I just needed to double check who exactly it was that I positively identified it for John, whether it was VM or Alex, and how certain they were that they knew what they were talking about, because We wouldn't want to give you the wrong information, John, but according to Djuma and Alex, they think it's a fish eagle. I can't comment as I cannot see it. So, just 2 minutes left, I'm told. And who knows what will happen. Exactly. Brian has just wanted to keep up saying in the suspense for pop out and surprise us the leopard. Before they pop out and surprise us, the leopard. Welcome back, Pan. Apologies for the brief break and signal. Obviously, as we just went through that little riverbed, it was a bit low down to pick up the various masts and antennas that we have dotted around this wilderness. As Brian's showing you, we're heading through some thick terrain here, hence driving slowly to make sure we don't miss anything. I should probably rephrase that. We could still potentially miss things, but we will be less likely to miss things by driving slowly. But there are just so many hiding places and little different things to see out here that there's no doubt we can't spot everything. There's no doubt we miss a few interesting things along the way. Interesting to think, and it's a good gauge as to, even though we did have some rain yesterday, it wasn't much. Look at this mudwaller. This mudwaller was filled with water. People will have footage, and I'm sure a few screenshots of a buffalo bull in this exact mudwaller, and I remember having to drive past, and it was very close to the vehicle. And it was filled with water, but now you can see it's bone dry. So, a good indicator as to the thirstiness of the ground at the moment, and the plants, I guess. So it would be great for this area to get some more rain in the coming weeks and months. It still is the rainy season, and you could get late rains up until April, potentially even May, but those would be considered very late rains. I think we've been really fortunate in terms of this production that rain hasn't affected us nearly as much as I thought it was going to. Judging from my experience of rain here in the last years that I've spent, you can get sometimes 3 days of solid rain. Not good for guests that come out over those 3 days, as you could. Is that? Sorry, what was that? Well, it's been a very relaxing and peaceful afternoon, and I hope you've enjoyed the slow pace of this afternoon's drive. It sometimes just ends up like that. It can't always be high-paced adventure in action. So this afternoon's been one of the slower paced drives, but we really started off with a cracking sighting with those two elephant bulls. I mean, when our broadcast broke down for a few minutes earlier, myself and Brian were just chatting about what a magnificent sighting that was, and really glad we got to share that with you. Since then though, the pace has slowed down a little bit. And that's how it goes, and it's also enjoyable to have a slow and relaxing, tranquil afternoon out here. It's all part of the experience. Taking in the sights and sounds as we go. And as you would probably know, especially the seasoned viewers, that we are passing the Djuma waterhole now. But not much to see here, so what I would like to do is continue up to the clearings where I'm hoping wildebeest, impala and hopefully zebra will be happy to provide us with a little bit of a sunset show before we close down. Oh, that Franklin doesn't sound happy about something. I wonder what it could be. Let's do a quick investigation as to what may have alarmed this Franklin. Again, very thick. As to what may have alarmed this Franklin.
Even if it's something big like a leopard.
Very thick. So occasionally,
whatever it was that did give that Franklin a fright, it's going to be difficult to spot, even if it is something big like a leopard.
But always worth trying, because occasionally when you do respond to just a little Franklin alarm call like that, you come around a corner and then there's a leopard staring you down, and it's certainly worth all the failed attempts for when it does pay off in the end. Copy, thanks. So just 10 minutes left. And it'll just take us a minute or two to get up to the clearings, and maybe another minute or two to find out where the wildebeest, and impala are, and then we'll have a watch them doing their business. Who knows, maybe those two elephant bulls are still playing around with one another here. It's unlikely, but possible. Where are the zebras and the canoes? No problemo. Thank you for that update though. Oh, well done, Brian. Brian has spotted them. And we will have to go back the way we came in order to best access them. So that is what we shall do. Okie dokie, just a few minutes left and we should be able to get you some good last glimpses of this herd of wildebeest that we've been monitoring over the last few months. We saw 5 of their calves get born right here in these clearings. It's a phenomenal statistic to have in such a short period of time. There's a nice mixed batch of both impala and wildebeest just up here, so we'll stop with them and enjoy the views that they give us. Oh, interesting. All these wildebeest calf have been left with the impala. Their parents have gone for a party. Isn't that bizarre? Well, some may say bad parenting, some may say good planning. At least they've left some babysitters. What was that, sorry?
It is bizarre though.
It really is. It's a shame you could hear the one wildebeest there call out. Maybe the wildebeest are saying, well, we don't want to come with you, you guys are boring, we're going to hang with the impala instead, they seem to be more fun.
Here comes an adult.
Yeah, there's one adult wildebeest that's maybe coming back and keeping an eye on them. But really cool to see that there's certainly going to be some elements of trust between these wildebeest and the adult impala, knowing that they can leave all these youngsters here with relative safety. And the light is getting very low now. How's it working out there for you now, Brian?
Still okay.
Still okay. If this production were to have carried on a month longer, we would have started to having to use the spotlights and the lights at night, which would have been great in a way because it would have been more likely for us to see some of the nocturnal critters that lurk about these parts. But it does mean that you typically don't shine on any of the prey animals at night after dark, because you then blind them, and if a predator does come past, even if it is just a few minutes later, they still could be recovering their sight from shining the spotlights on them. So not good for prey viewing or herbivore viewing, but would have been good to open up the window of opportunity to see some nocturnal animals. Well, again, I must say a big thank you for all the support and for following us on these drives, and a big thanks to Brian on camera, and to Alex and VM who spent time in final control this afternoon. It's been a wonderful afternoon. Highlights definitely were those two elephant bulls playing around. It was a magical sight, seeing one that I haven't seen anything quite like it in my time here, and even over the years. To see the playfulness of those two elephants really was unique, especially the bigger bull that was kind of instigating all the fun that we were lucky enough to watch. And all in all, another good day out here. I hope you've enjoyed it, and a reminder for tomorrow that Mark will be back in the afternoon drive, which is great, but it'll be just me tomorrow morning, and look forward to the adventure with you then. It is my last day tomorrow, so sad times, but it isn't. It'll be just me tomorrow morning, and look forward to the adventure with you then. It is my last day tomorrow, so sad times, but it isn't the end of the road completely, and there's always chance of a future project. So let's just cross fingers and hope for that there is a future project. If not, maybe I'll see some of you out on safari with me one day. That'll be wonderful if some of you came out and we could tour around this wonderful continent together. I would love that. Either way, from the Wild Earth team out here, big thank you for following us this afternoon, and we'll leave these last few moments with Brian showing you the beautiful sight we have just in front of us. So bye from us, and have a good day or night wherever you are in the world.